Hello and welcome back to another episode of Tyler's Tiger Talk. So the AP preseason poll just came out a few days ago, and LSU's ranked number 5, which I love them there. Um, a lot of other people aren't too happy about it, especially if you're not an LSU football fan. A lot of people don't think LSU deserves to be there. This video, I'm gonna kind of explain why LSU sits right at number 5, at least to me, and to some other LSU fans, and in majority of ESPN analysts and whatever. So LSU first year with Brian Kelly, first year with a new quarterback, few new players, new coaches, all that. And LSU goes in, wins the West, beats Alabama, goes to the SEC championship, kills Purdue in the bowl game. And a lot of people are still doubting LSU. They say LSU's overhyped. I've seen a lot of that, whether it's me scrolling through YouTube Reels or Shorts actually, Instagram Reels, TikTok, whatever. I see a lot of stuff pertaining to LSU football being overrated, um, just for the name, and I don't think that's true at all. LSU, I mean Georgia sits at number 1. They're back-to-back national championships. Um, I think with Georgia, you can look at that. You can look at the back-to-back national championships and say, they deserve to be at number 1. But I hate when people try to go to the past, as in last year, to talk about LSU. LSU first game, lose to Florida State in New Orleans. Bad game for LSU. Terrible game for LSU. Everything went wrong. Muff punts, interceptions, just missed blocks, just so much stuff that went wrong, and LSU still almost came in back in that game and tied it. You missed a field goal, you missed a PAT. If you don't miss that PAT, you potentially win in overtime because LSU had the momentum. They had everything going for them. They looked a lot better in the second half. If there was one thing you noticed about this LSU team, it's especially in the beginning of the football season last year, it's that they were a second half team. It took them a while to get going. It was just the 2-minute offense that rushed them. The second half, all those things. LSU was just better in, and I think a lot of people look at the losses to Florida State. They look at that bad loss, Tennessee and Texas A&M and all that, and they go, well, they lost bad to a bad Texas A&M team. Tennessee stomped them, and it's just you got to realize this team is this team was, I'm not gonna say is now, because I think they got the rhythm going. I think they got all the elements and the chemistry together. I think they have depth now. But this team last year was, I mean, a brand new team. Is like, oh, when someone starts playing a new sport, they're not as good. They have to play that sport and get used to the sport and learn it. You can have as much talent as you want, but if you don't have the drive and the practice and the energy and the chemistry, like I said, you're not going to do well. And now LSU has the chemistry. They know what they're doing. This is a team now. This is not just a group of players wearing LSU jerseys. This is a team, and I think that's what makes them stronger and why they're so highly ranked going in to the new season. Now the football's right around the corner. LSU plays September 4th on a Sunday, so it's close. I mean, we'll just have to see what happens to Orlando. I think LSU wins that game, but we'll see. A lot of people think it can go both ways. I think it can go both ways. But I think LSU should win this game. I'd give it 70-30 odds. I'd say LSU has a 70% chance to win this game. But going back to what I was saying about last season and how a lot of these people who see LSU ranked 5 and hate it, go look at the season before. And I hate when they do that because there's a lot of teams that they're not talking about. Let's say Utah. I saw a guy the other day, and I'm going to make a reaction video soon. I'm just trying to make a compilation of videos where they're talking about this. But there was a guy talking about Utah the other day and how they should be ranked higher, if not where LSU is at now. And I'm like, what the hell has Utah done in the past few decades or whatever? Like what has Utah done? If you wanna go and look at the past, go look at what Utah's done. They've done nothing. They lost to Florida. They lost to Florida last year, and now they have a rematch with Florida again. Like LSU has a rematch with Florida State. So Utah hasn't done much. I mean, I do think they have a good quarterback, but I just don't think they should be anywhere in the college football playoff talk. I think LSU's in that college football playoff talk because they have a really good coach, one of the best coaches in college football right now. They have a really good returning quarterback who's played years of college football. He knows what he's doing. He's good with his legs. In the offseason, he's got about a lot better with the arm and in taking risk. One of the problems with Jane Daniels last year is he didn't take the risk. He didn't take the throw downfield. Now he's got some of the best wide receivers right now. Probably the best wide receiver in Malik Neighbors. It's so much fact. You have Harold Perkins on the defensive side, who is the best linebacker, if not the best defensive player right now in college football. In the SEC, whatever you want to say, Harold Perkins is a beast. He was insane his freshman year when he was on the football field, and he wasn't even doing that much. It was either a QB spy or a blitz. It was nothing complicated about what Harold Perkins was doing, and now he potentially is going to be the leader on that defense. He's a beast. I mean, put him in coverage, put him in anything. I think he shines wherever he is. He's just an incredibly defensive player. He's incredibly athletic. He's good at mirroring players. Like, and what I mean by that is if you watch the Alabama game or the Arkansas game, you had two really fast quarterbacks, Hornsby and Bryce Young. And when Harold Perkins went in, he was able to mirror their movements, so they couldn't make a move on him. And he's just insanely good at defense. So you have all those factors coming in, and then you have these people that say LSU's overrated, and it makes me sick. Like to say what you want to say. Say LSU shouldn't be at that number 5 spot, but don't say they're overrated because they're not overrated. This is a team you're talking about who was overrated like coming into this year, and they beat Alabama. And not that Alabama's not a threat. Alabama's a huge threat. I think Alabama's more of a threat right now than Georgia is, in my opinion. Alabama's on the ropes right now. They're in a tight corner, and that's where you do not want them. That's when they're most dangerous. I saw this funny video the other day. Was someone was talking about how Nick Saban was smiling and how that's a threat, and it is. Like, you don't want Nick Saban smiling because he knows going into the season he has a really good team, and Alabama always has a really good team. So we'll see what was that. But you beat Florida State. You potentially beat Alabama. I mean, if LSU does that, I mean, they're beating 2 top 5 teams potentially, whether rankings are top. Let's just say top 10, because I don't think Florida State will be in the top 5, no matter what. But and I think LSU has a lot of like scary games on the list that no one's worried about. That I am, and I know people who are. I got those games that could come to bite you in the ass. Mississippi State, Ole Miss. I think they're going to be 2 really good teams that no one's really looking at as much as the Florida State and the Alabamas and stuff like that. I think LSU could be beating a lot of really good teams that aren't marked as good teams. I think their schedule is harder than people think it is, especially with Mississippi State. Mississippi's basically a huge threat. That's not a W in my opinion, just an easy W. I think Mississippi State's going to bring it, and it's at Mississippi State, so that's a scary game. So yeah, like I've said, I've seen these videos, people talking about how this team should be top 5, they're overrated, yada yada yada. LSU has so much talent, and now they have the coaching and the depth now in the second year of Brian Kelly. Now, Brian Kelly said the other day that LSU is really going to compete for a national championship in the 3rd year. And I've been telling everyone I think that's BS. I think LSU will compete for a national championship this year, but him saying that makes Brian Kelly looks better, especially if he gets in the college football playoffs and he contends for a national championship. I think that makes him look better. Like when you're ordering a package from Amazon and it says, estimated delivery a week, and say you get it in 2 days, and you're like, wow, that's great. I love Amazon. They said it was gonna be a week and it ended up being 2 days. It's kind of like that. Brian Kelly says, oh, we're gonna compete for national championship in 3rd year, and they ended up doing it the 2nd year. It makes him look like a better coach. rather than him saying, I think we can go compete for a national championship this year, and say they don't, then he's going to get a lot of backlash. I think it's a smart move by him, but I don't think necessarily he's telling his full truth, because I think he wants a national championship this year. I think he can get one. I think the brand of LSU is going to start expanding. I talked about my last video, and I didn't have as much emphasis on this, and I think I really should expand in that video, but LSU is becoming a huge brand all around. Like I said, basketball, baseball, gymnastics, all that. They're becoming really good at all those sports and competing for national championships in all those sports. That's hard to do. Not many colleges do that. Alabama's almost contending for a national championship in football every year, but they're not doing that in baseball or basketball or any of that. LSU is, and LSU's growing. And I think Scott Woodward, the athletic director, is doing an insane job of hiring these coaches who are driven to get to a national championship, to recruit the right players. LSU's recruiting has been good, but it can be better, especially with this LSU brand now. You got, the Livy Dunns, the Paul Skeens, the Joe Burrows, all these people who are really good at their sport, but they're also very popular in other realms of, social media, whatever. They're, you don't have to know gymnastics to know Livy Dunn, or you don't have to know football to know Joe Burrow. They're just big brands, and same with Angel Reese and Dylan Cruz. Just all of them. They're popular. Like, LSU is becoming this popular brand that I think will expand and become more people will know the LSU name. LSU's always been big. You have Shaquille O'Neal, like I said, Joe Burrow, all these people. LSU's just becoming this big brand, and I think it's going to be big LSU takeover. I'd love to see them win a few national championships in the next 10 years. I think they can do it, not just in football, in almost all the sports. But yeah. So in my opinion, in this video off, LSU is not overrated. They are in the perfect spot for where they are. They're not too high, and they're not too low. They're in the top 5. I've called them the top 5 team. Yeah, 3 SEC teams right now in the top 5. Georgia, Alabama, LSU. Those teams are going to be in the college football playoffs most likely. The rankings are right. I love the rankings right now. I think LSU goes undefeated. I don't know if they beat off Georgia in the SEC championship. We'll see. You never know how it goes. It could by the end of the year, it could be us facing Tennessee in the SEC championship. You just don't know. And I'm excited to see. I know everyone's excited for football season. It's literally right around the corner. You just kind of have to wait and see. There's so much you can talk about in the preseason leading up. Watching practices, watching fall camp, all that. There's so much you can talk about, but there also is just that factor where you just gotta wait and watch a football game. And this is the perfect. FSU is the perfect game to see, where you're like, okay, this team's good. They're probably going to win a national championship, or they might not make it to the college football playoffs this year. It's the perfect game because FSU is that really good team that if you beat, you're like, okay, you've seen it all in this game. I think we're going to see it all in Orlando. I think we are going to see what this LSU team really is made about. Jaden Daniels is the starter. He's leading this team. Perkins leads the team with defense. So we'll just have to see. We'll just have to see and wait. I think my next video will be a reaction video because I know people like those. I like doing those. I think they're fun. But we'll just have to see. So thank you for watching, and as always, go Tigers.